Hello. Let's see. Hi, Carla. Give me a second. Hi, Nature Fan. Nice. I'm happy for you, Nature Fan. I don't think, well, I could be wrong. I don't know if the sun, I mean, it's bright out, but I don't know if the sun is out yet or not. No, I didn't see it. I don't even know if anybody else did, so. Sorry, I'm not all dressed up. I am 48 hours, maybe a little bit less, from oral surgery. I'm trying to be calm. They want me to be relaxed and not nervous. Ha! That's funny. Yeah. Yeah, it's multitude, but yes. They're gonna. I'm only able to get 3 or 4 removed each year. Um, so the dentist wants a lot more removed, but if I can't pay for it, it's not happening. So, yeah, it's a thing. It's a whole darn thing. Plus, I have to get in, at some point, I gotta get in to see the doctor, so that'll happen eventually. We're gonna give it another few seconds and then we're gonna get started. Um, hope everybody is having a good week so far. I'll know how mine is going after surgery. Just a reminder, and I'll remind you again at the end of live. No live on Thursday That'll be 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. And more than likely, no live Friday at 1 p.m. I might be up for doing live later that evening. We'll find out. If not, those lives will move to, I think it's October. So you won't miss them. No, they cannot remove any more than 3 or 4. According to insurance. So those are the rules. So unless something happens really bad, I'm planning on going live in the evening on Friday. This one may be short, so help me out with it. I don't need people looking stuff up, just asking questions periodically. I'll ask for questions, but yeah, let's get started. This is a different live than what we usually do, and I'm thinking of adding another topic into the lives, and that's going to be keystone species, because I feel like I don't discuss enough about keystone species, and they're super, super important to the ecosystem. So anyway, I am Nature Guy X46, and I know I'm not wearing my outfit. I know that. AKA Charlie, and this is the Natureverse 4.7. And today, we are talking about 2 different animals whose homes serve as apartment buildings for other animals. Some of them are freeloaders, some of them are predators, some of them are going to come and hang out. We're going to look at prairie dog towns first, and then move into termite mounds. That's the idea anyway. So let's walk through the door into the Natureverse. And I wish I had a really cool image for us to walk through, but that's not happening. So first off, a wee little bit about prairie dog towns, because I don't know what you envision when I say that. Oh, thank you for the votes, guys. And since we have 7 votes, don't forget to give that thumbs up button a push. That helps more people find me, believe it or not. So first off, as we were moving west, and later on even, prairie dogs were killed off out of this totally ridiculous idea that they would compete for food with livestock. We've come to find out that is not true. Currently, these ground squirrels live in less than 2% of their historic range, which is sad. Really, really sad. This means there are less prairie dogs for you to encounter as you go west. That is true. That is true. Keep in mind that the water that you're drinking today passed through a dinosaur. Think about that. Not to be gross, but it's true. Prairie dogs are a keystone species because there are a ton of species who depend on them. Over 400 depend on prairie dogs. We aren't really interested in whoever might be eating them, although we are going to talk about it. We're more interested in the animals that live with them. I do have insurance. That's why I'm able to have 3 or 4 pooled instead of none. We aren't really... Oh, wait. The largest prairie dog town that we know of consisted of around 400 million prairie dogs, and it covered 25,000 square miles or 25,000 square kilometers. In case you didn't know, prairie dogs burrow underground. Now, the entrance to their tunnels are often surrounded by a large mound. That large mound allows the prairie dogs to look around their area to look for predators, both in the sky and on land. Enemies like the black-footed ferret might set off an alarm call. Now, it should be noted that black-footed ferrets live in the tunnels made by their prey. We have 9 votes, but only 5 thumbs ups. So what these animals do, is the black-footed ferrets don't necessarily live in active prairie dog towns, but occasionally they give up their tunnels and they move into new ones. And that is where the black-footed ferret comes in. It should be noted that while bison and pronghorn do not live in their burrows, they do benefit from the prairie dogs. And we're going to talk about how that works in just a second. How that works is the prairie dogs eat the grass around their entrances or their exits, and that eating of the grass stimulates the grass to produce new, fresh, young shoots, which the large herbivores love to eat. And so they will come in and eat those grasses and fill themselves up, as do cattle. Also, if you looked at the thumbnail, you might have noticed burrowing owls. The two do live together. So you might find a nest occasionally. You may also find animals like the mountain plover, which doesn't necessarily nest inside the tunnels, but may nest around the town. Horned larks, which may nest inside, and killdeer, which are going to be nesting in and around the entrances as well. If you don't know what killdeer are a species of plover, and they make a call that sounds like it's exactly what they sound like. Carry me through. What was your questions? I see you have question marks up. What was your question? And do I have any questions at this point? The burrowing owls and the prairie dogs have worked out how to make their lives work. Now, something that I knew about, but you may not know, is that prairie rattlesnakes, which probably would eat a young prairie dog, will hibernate or brumate inside the tunnels. If you, like I mentioned, brumation is hibernation in reptiles and amphibians. Desert cottontails may live inside the burrow or take shelters in them. For those of you that don't know, cottontails are a type of wild rabbit here in the United States. Swift foxes may also make use of prairie dog tunnels as a place to raise their young. They may also eat the prairie dog. American badgers may use abandoned tunnels for their burrows. Tiger salamanders, too, may find a home inside the tunnels, along with a mix of other invertebrates. Along with the black-footed ferret, there are other predators who depend on the rodent for food, or who at least eat the prairie dog as part of their diets. Animals like the golden eagle, foxes, coyotes, weasels, hawks, and more, along with swift foxes and bobcats added to the list. The prairie dog towns are biodiversity hotspots on the prairie, or at least they used to be. Any questions up to this point? For those of you who are new to my channel, please subscribe, and I hope you're enjoying live. Tonight's live is going to be one you do not want to miss. We are going to be talking about history and nature. And we're going to be talking about a period in our history where the Catholic Church, sorry, I'm not attacking the Catholic Church, was not friends with cats. And we're going to talk about it and why, maybe, and then hopefully learn something along the way. So that's coming up tonight. A little plug, if you will. They do set guards, but even with guards out, sometimes prairie dogs end up feeding animals. From the complex underground structures of a prairie dog town, a true biodiversity hotspot on the North American prairie, we now move to another example of animal architecture found that is awesome. In my yard, at least in my wildflower garden section, I don't remove any stems until we have several days where it is above 60. And that's to allow eggs that might be in the stems to hatch, and to make sure that that takes place. Also, one of the things I don't do in my wildflower garden is I don't remove the oak leaves. That is important. Super important. And I don't spray, which is probably why the poison ivy is there. But anyway, we are now switching gears from the prairie to the savanna. And we are going to be taking a look at termite mounds. These structures, built by tiny engineers, also create unique microhabitats that support a surprising array of life. And that is coming up in just a second. Now, I don't have a lot of information, so we are going to wing it. Africa, and this is cool, Africa has more than 1,000 species. No, Africa has more than 1,000 species of termites. Termite mounds can stand over 3 meters above the ground, or 9 feet above the ground. And their living area beneath the ground can measure 50 square meters or 538 square feet. Did we lose Nature Fan? Oh, okay. So, hold on a second. Let me get a really good definition. Cool. I just wasn't sure. Now, we've talked about keystone species before, but it's always a good thing to review them. So, a keystone species, they help to sort of glue the ecosystem together. So think of your grandma and how she might help glue the family together. Or an arch, right? An arch has that keystone in it that helps to hold, that helps to hold the arch up. It's that little wedge-shaped piece at the top. It's not the biggest or the heaviest part of the structure, but it does the job. Keystone species have a disproportionately large effect on its environment, usually compared to the actual population size. And there are 4 main types. There are keystone predators. So think of the wolves in Yellowstone. They keep prey populations in check. Without them, the prey would overbreed, eat all the vegetation, destroying the habitat for everybody else. Then there are ecosystem engineers, and they physically create or change the habitat. Think of beavers. They turn a simple stream into a complex wetland. Then there are keystone mutualists, and this is a species that rely on each other to survive. Think of bumblebees or other pollinators. Without the bees, and I'm not just talking honeybees, I'm talking all bees. Without the bees or the pollinators, some plants couldn't reproduce, and the animals that eat those plants would starve. There's also keystone prey, and these guys are going to be prey for almost everybody that's in that ecosystem's web. So think about krill in the Antarctic, right? They feed every major animal in Antarctica, from whales to seals to penguins. Now, don't get me wrong, there are other animals in Antarctica who eat other stuff. But that, in a nutshell, is what keystone species are. And now, back to our previously started discussion. This fortress, this massive unit of a home, is made up of clay that was brought up to the surface by termites and termite saliva. And let me tell you, it is hard. You're not going to get into it by just scraping. It's hard. Termites are another keystone species. In the tropics, they make up 95% of the soil insect biomass. Mind blown. Let me say that again. They make up 95% of the soil insect biomass. Biomass is the organic matter that comes from plants and animals. So they are 95% of the insects that live in the soil in tropical Africa. Like prairie dogs, they provide food for animals, lots of animals. Animals like aardvarks, penguins, southern hornbills, aardwolves, people, and a lot more. A few animals have the power to crack open a termite mound. Aardvarks and penguins have that ability. Now, when the penguin and the aardvark break into a termite mound, the termites defend themselves, and rightfully so, because these are predators. What's cool about penguins and aardvarks is that if you look at them, they're very similar, or they have similar adaptations that the anteater in South America and Central America have, which is really cool. We call that convergent evolution. We'll talk about that probably at a later date. When they break into that nest, they don't leave necessarily the nest in the same shape it was when they broke in. The termites will try to mend that up, but it doesn't always work. Aardvarks will often nest in burrows close by. Warthogs will do the same thing, along with bush pigs, hyena, dwarf mongoose, barbets, which are a type of bird, will build their nest in termite mounds. Meerkats and ground squirrels may also live around or inside the mound. Jackals may also. This is where it gets really interesting, because unlike the termite mound, unlike the prairie dog towns, the termite mounds are much bigger, and they provide lookout spots for all types of animals, from lions to leopards to birds looking for prey to herbivores looking out for predators. The list goes on and on. It's also a place where rhinos, elephants, and other animals can sort of get a scratch. Like prairie dog towns, these animals build a structure that allows for biodiversity to be a thing. Animals use these mounds for a lot of different reasons. For some animals, when these termites take to the wing, that's an ample opportunity for a lot of animals to come in and gorge themselves. Chimpanzees will feed on termites. Lots of animals, including people, like I mentioned earlier, feed on these guys. I'm going to wrap up this section on termite mounds, and there's a lot more that I could discuss, But I'm not here so much to discuss all of the ins and outs of termite mounds. I'm here to basically talk about how these things operate for other animals. Now, it's also sort of cool. Some termites, not all termites, but most of the termite species that I know, at least the ones in Africa, they grow fungus, and that is what they use to feed themselves. Some of them, anyway. They will have a king and a queen, and it is the queen who, for her entire life, all she does is lay eggs. They do eat wood, but they will also take in seeds. Yeah. No, you're right. Termites help to shape the environment in which they live. They help to recycle plant matter. So these aren't just a thing building these giant homes. These homes are air conditioned. They are everything that the termite needs in order to live. In some places, they are nurseries for eggs. Other insects may live inside there, either feeding on the termites from time to time or going to war against the termites. Venomous snakes may come and go from these mounds. So, I'm not ending live, but I do want to wrap up the segment. That is a wrap on our journey through the apartment buildings of the animal kingdom, from the prairie dog towns of North America to the towering termite mounds of Africa. It's clear that one animal's home is often another's haven. Before you go, I want you to look around your backyard or local park and think about the hidden worlds and the keystone species that might be creating habitats right under your nose. What kind of animal architects are at work in your corner of the natureverse? They might just remember that anteaters will be doing that in South America and Central America, and honey badgers are doing that in Africa, and maybe like further east. Lots of animals do feed on these animals. Lots of animals depend on the habitat that these insects make and prairie dogs make. I have seen small scale prairie dog towns, and they work. The babies have babysitters. I think it's prairie dogs. Before I say that, let me verify. Because I don't want to tell you guys something that's not true. So, anybody have anything cool going on this week? Now, prairie dogs were not. Now, you got to be really careful with prairie dogs. So if you ever. Oh. So prairie dogs, prior to humans, uh, prior to Europeans arriving into the West, let me rephrase that. Prior to our invasion into the West, and bringing with us rats, the prairie dogs did not have, and their fleas did not have to worry about bubonic plague. When the Spanish came, when more people entered the prairie, they brought with them rats and fleas. Prairie dogs can, at times, carry the plague. If you go out west and you see a prairie dog and it comes up to you looking for food, don't pick it up. Don't mess with dead rodents out west. Just leave them alone. Don't mess with them. Don't pick them up. Leave that for somebody else to do, because people out west do sometimes get the plague. It is not a dead disease. It is still a very serious illness. So, yeah, just a PSA. Another really cool thing about prairie dogs, I don't know if you know this or not, but if a prairie dog sees a human about to enter their space, they will whistle or bark. They'll make a call. That call is different from the call that they might use if a hawk were flying overhead. Different than what they might use for a coyote. Different than what they might use for a bobcat. How cool is that? And they're probably not the only animal that does that, but it's language. Sort of. If you think about it, they're forming words or calls for different predators. That is cool. At least to me, it's cool. Well, why are people sending me stuff? It's communication, but it's more than communication. My nephew just sent me a picture of a spider that they found in their house, and I love it. It's a signal, but it's cool because it's not just, hey, there's an enemy, I'm going to bark or make a call. It's different for every predator. No, I don't think so. I think it's just a spider. I have to go in and do the whole scientific name thing. They're able to produce a call for each different type of predator. So coyote has a separate call. Potentially bobcat has a different call. Black-footed ferret would have a different call. Rattlesnake would have a different call. So there's a different call for each predator, and that is cool. It's not just one word or one call for all of the predators. It's unique, and it's passed down. So it's not this animal having one call and everybody having a different call. It is passed down from adult to baby to their babies to their babies. I think it's cool. Anyway, guys, that is all I have for today. So what is up? What is up? But before we all leave, I just want to remind everybody again, I will not be live tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but on Thursday. I will not be live on Thursday. I may not be live at 1 p.m. If I decide not to, I will post it. It just depends how I feel. Tonight, human history and nature, cats and the church. I did not get that updated. I was on the phone yesterday with the clinic that I get my teeth done at. I had to call the office that the work on Thursday is going to be done at. Did a little bit of job hunting. Because that's the thing. So, coming up this week, Friday, hopefully, we are doing black-necked stork and storm stork. I'm assuming it's a fish. spotted seahorse, animals in your backyard, fox squirrel, and the Philippine tombbat on March 7th. Woohoo! And then DK's brown snake and common crate. That is Saturday. Hey D-Man, so those are the lives. And then Tuesday is exploring nature. We're doing tiger bee fly and bush fly. And then box elderbug and small grass cicada. I, right now, still have all of mine. That's okay. I still have not gone in and doubled up all of these lives. I need to do that. We do have some really cool things coming up, which I'm excited for. Video wise, I do have the script recorded on my phone. I need to download it to the computer, and then I will work on that hopefully after I get the live done for tonight. I apologize for delays. Yes, Krait. Very venomous snake. But unfortunately in India, also fairly common snake. And it's one that you could find in your yard, in your house. So that's why we're covering it. Ooh, sweet, D-Man. That is one thing I understand it. So you can correct me if I'm wrong, but in Florida, you cannot approach manatee, but they can approach you. There's a no touchy law, if I understand. Something like that, yeah, but that's what I thought. I can't help but wonder what would happen if you get a really curious manatee. Oh, guys. I have to figure out stuff. Nice. I was watching a video from, I think it's National Geographic. And they were talking about the karst in China. So cool. So very cool. Tonight's live is going to be another in the series of human history and nature, and it's going to be cats and the church. A dark period in history, at least for cats. Woohoo! I look forward to it, D-Man. Guys, if you don't follow D-Man, you should. We have a few more minutes left. I'm pretty sure yesterday on my way down to my brother's house, pretty sure I saw a bluebird. Now, it may not have been one. It might have been something else, but I'm pretty sure it was a bluebird. Also, sandhill cranes are migrating right now. So if you see large birds up in the air over the region, you will see they may sound a little bit like Canadian geese, but not Canadian geese. Anyway, so that's going on. I can understand that. I definitely can understand that. Yeah, but some things in some places they're told in stories. And I think in the UK there's areas where people say they see them. So I get it. I get it. I'm going to have lunch. And then I'm going to start some laundry. And then I'm going to work on my script for live because I want to get my facts straight. Because I don't have a person that's a history nut to help me. So, yeah, it's a thing. Um, that's the idea. Only I think they're way spookier. A nature fan, that is true. Now we have fandoms all over the place. I bet they did. A new Dracula movie is coming out. And it's going to the film will explore the origin story of the prince and his transformation into a vampire, followed by his pursuit of a doppelganger in 19th century London. It's expected to be released late 2025 through early 2026, with a US theatrical release February 6, 2026. I haven't either. You know what? I think Dracula is one of those characters that's not going away. I just don't know. I haven't seen anything. So I don't know. Anyway, guys, it is time to go. I'm going to say goodbye. As I always say, be good, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye, everybody.